Hello, I'm Andrew Daly. I'm delighted today to be joined by Ahmad, who's head of Northern Europe for SAP Ariba. Mo and I have known each other for many years, and we recently caught up at the SAP Spend Connect Innovation Day. Mo, thanks for joining me. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
We saw each other at the event. I thought it was a great success. You must have been really pleased with the overall outcome of the day and the content of the presentations and everything else that went on.
No, it was a lot of fun, actually. It's the first time we've done something like that. Normally we've obviously now we have SAP Spend Connect. We used to have the Ariba Lives, etc. But this is the first time we've done something like this in each country, and we're obviously starting with London. We've got Copenhagen next week, got Paris and Amsterdam, and there are other regions doing these as well. But the way that we've put that together, it was exciting to see that actually happen and gauge the feedback from people, because I think that that's always the proof the proof's in the pudding, right? Is what people say about it, and a lot of people came away from that very excited. So I think that bit I'm really happy about, as well as, of course, getting the chance to really showcase innovation from an SAP perspective, which we haven't done in a while, and our ecosystem. It's the bit that I was really excited about, but a little bit nervous about, right? Because we hadn't done it before. So, but it went down really well. So super happy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. I got a real sense around the buzz of the event. Obviously, I go to a lot of events. I got a real sense that people were enjoying it, very educated, good to be in that sort of environment, a nice venue as well. And there were some really good presentations. I mean, that the AI one that you did first up was good. But I think I've mentioned in one of my other videos, I really enjoyed the EcoVadis Accenture one. I thought that was really insightful. And of course, your chief product officer, Salva, I was very impressed with the product. And on that, we've known each other a long time. I've said that going back to your Hubwoo days and when I first helped you join Ariba in 2016. I've never known you so excited about a product since you returned to Ariba. What is it that's got you so fired up, man?
Well, we've spoken about this a lot. I think a lot of it's very easy in procurement to get either sucked into some hype, but then find that there's no hype, or finding a lack of innovation. And to be fair, that's been thrown at SAP a few times. What I've got really excited about, and I knew about this obviously before I'd left, and I spent 5 years there, obviously jumped out for 2 years and worked with everybody, including SAP. So I'd seen innovation from a best of breed perspective, as well as what some of the other players in the space have been doing. And by the way, I fully respect everybody who's in this field, right? So this isn't me drinking the SAP Kool-Aid and saying, hey, I've come back and it's a rah-rah, as much as there is an element to that because of the way that it's made me feel and why I wanted to rejoin SAP. The reality of it is that what we're building, what we've just started releasing, and it's really beginning to pick up steam, is a true innovative solution set. So not only it's like you've always had that, the power of SAP in everything that we do. Yes, we have that, and there's so much great stuff happening in all areas of SAP. But I'm a procurement guy, so from a procurement perspective, when I see Spend Control Tower coming down the pipe, and Salva talked about that, it's built on the next gen platform. It's incorporating all of the things that you would expect, Gen AI, general AI, ML, real data harmonization, real insight, integrating procurement processes, so that there's a waterfall effect down into the rest of the process. That is the kind of stuff that we've been talking about for God knows how long. So when I started seeing this, that's exactly what got me a bit more excited about it. But now that I've been in for 5 months, and that time has moved really quickly. You look at what we're doing with that, and it's really around process engineering, building a next-gen solution with all of the things that you'd expect, but it's done in a way that's really harmonizing everything that procurement needs on a day-to-day basis. And that's what's got me excited, because for so long I've been championing innovation even before I left, right? I launched my YouTube channel off the back of that, because I was like, no, we need to shout about innovation. But it's here, and it's I'm just excited to talk about it more and to let people know about it. So
good, thanks. And I must admit, I've not seen the Ariba platform demoed since I was at Ariba Live in Barcelona in 2019, which obviously is a long, long time ago now. I was very, very impressed by what I saw into what Salva showed, and Spentow and everything else that goes in. I just thought, for procurement professionals with a reasonable degree of digital literacy, there was some really immediate, quick wins available, but also a level of depth that for those that wanted to develop the real technological proficiency in key areas, there was so much potential. And then, of course, you've got the integrations. I mean, how many apps have you've got in your app store that integrate with Ariba?
Yeah, there's there's about 130 odd, and there's more and more coming in. But it isn't always about, we could have 1 million apps on the app store. That's all fine. I think it's really helping people understand how that benefits them. And that was one of the key areas, right? The afternoon was all about that. The morning session was really digging into more around, well, the reason I had that session with Matt from RWS was, well, what is AI? What does that actually mean? What is the context, right? So, because you hear it everywhere. There's some people who really know about it because they've dug deep, and there's others that just don't. And there's others, people like me. I was like everybody else in the audience. I'm kind of sitting in the middle. I know a bit, working at Tealbook and other places. I've got to learn it, but really understanding it, no, right? So that I wanted to set out that we set out that session with that initial chat with Matt so that we could put some context behind it. Because then when Salva started talking about how we're leveraging that technology and making it real, you could see it because people's brains start ticking, right? It's helping people understand why this is important. It's not going away. It's here to stay. But how is it going to help you? And that's our job, right? That's our job. So, that was an interesting session. And I thought what Salva showed was, really exciting.
I thought it was a great start to the day because, again, as a sort of conference veteran, Ellie gave that quick fire welcome, and then we're straight into it. And I thought, oh wow, we're on already, aren't we? And of course, you were straight in with Matt, and it was that really great use case. It was broken down into terms that we can all understand, and I just thought it was a really good way to get the whole thing rolling and start off what was obviously a very enjoyable day. And for the procurement professionals there, who probably get sort of constantly sold to, and the sort of tech bingo phrases get thrown. AI is just doing everything now, isn't it? And they must get a bit tired of all that. But I think that's a bit of a problem, I think, for the wider section. Obviously, you mentioned your time at Tealbook, and I know that time away from SAP is giving you another perspective that perhaps not everyone gets if they stay in an organisation a long time. Do you think there's a problem for the software sector that the audience that you're selling to is not actually aware enough of what can be done with technology? I think we've got a little bit sort of fatigue around all the sales pitches and the buzzwords. Do you think they're actually out there understanding what can be done for procurement and supply chain now?
I don't think they do. I don't think we've done a great job of helping people understand that. I mean, the fact that, and this is, I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but Lance with Procure Tech, Eloise with everything that she does with her Spidergram, and even James Meads has got this new map, right? There's a lot of logos on there. There's a lot of startups, a lot of scale ups doing a whole bunch of different things in procurement that are innovative. Do people understand that? No. I've spoken to eight customers in the last 2 months, 2.5 months. Every single one of them is having some kind of conversation with one or more of these small vendors because they're trying to fix particular areas that either the suites don't fix, or the suites will never fix, or there is a particular thing that they want done. And there are solutions for it, which is brilliant. Sustainability is a big one, which we'll talk about in a short while, I'm sure. But I think that our job here is we need to educate people, because 75% of that ecosystem is connected to us. But it's not only, oh, they're connected to us, or they're integrated to us, or they're on the app store, but it's actually how do they help a customer with their process? How do they help a CPO in their teams to manage some of the areas that they haven't managed effectively before, or doing it manually, and so on and so forth. And that was a key thing that I wanted people to take away from. You know, we just got, obviously, Scoutbee has just become an endorsed app. We had Rapid Ratings there. We had Barrow, who's fully integrated into, you know, category management, which was launched back in August, right? But there's others that would say, oh, well, Barrow are integrated to us as well. But the way that we've done it is different, or the way that Archlet is integrated to us, or a Keelvar, or an Oro Labs, or a Zip, or, you know, process orchestration. I think that was on Gartner's #1, you know, right? You saw that recently. Well, all three of the top three are integrated to SAP Ariba.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it and you want to talk about it, you don't have to do it in isolation, right? And that's on us as well. But we've got to educate. We have to educate. We have to get the message out there. And I would, anybody who's listening to this, if you're looking at those guys, please do talk to your SAP. If you're an SAP Ariba customer, or you're thinking about SAP Ariba, or Fieldglass, or the network, or anything else that you're looking at, talk to us, because 8 times out of 10 they're connected to us already, or they may be connecting to us very shortly.
Well, look at Oro. I mean, Oro's founders are ex-SAP Ariba product engineers, aren't they?
Correct, they are, absolutely. And they're going to be at Copenhagen next week, and I can't wait to see them, actually, because they've got a really, really interesting product. So it's awesome.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's an enormous amount of buzz around orchestration, and certainly if I look at DPW last October, you know, that was where the noise was around orchestration, and I think that's an exciting development in the marketplace for sure. But just touch on DPW and our point earlier about you know, whether the audience truly understands. I don't know if you noticed, but Matthias came up with something which I thought was really clever. The next, rather this year, he said the next DPW, which will be October again in Amsterdam, they're going to do tours. So you've got all these vendors. So last year, 120 vendors with some form of sponsorship package. And so if you want an orchestration tour, we'll take you around the orchestration vendors. If you want an AI tour, they'll take. I thought it was a very clever thing.
That's a good idea, because actually I had, and you know, I was at DPW the year before, right? And honestly, I was so excited after that. I absolutely loved that show. But the feedback that I got from this year's one was interesting. And this is from C-level companies, right? The C-level within companies, who were saying, that was nuts. I didn't know where to go or what to do. There was just so much. How do I absorb it all? So I think that's a really good idea. It's a really good idea.
You certainly were spoiled for choice. And if you went in there without the knowledge that you and I have acquired through the years of doing these things, you would not know where to start, quite frankly. Whereas if you went in with a degree of base knowledge, just okay, I've got a specific problem that I'm looking to solve, or a particular value opportunity I'm looking to create. I've done my initial homework on which companies might be of relevance to me. You could have a very productive couple of days there. But if you went in there with you know, only knowing procure to pay, for example, you had a hard time working out where it goes. So I think it's a great innovation from Matthias, which of course he's brought a lot of great innovations. And I saw that in your event, you know, this whole sort of tell, not sell. I mean, EcoVadis summed it up perfectly for me. You know, they educated us, they demonstrated all the knowledge, and they left you thinking, if I want more, those are the people to speak to, as opposed to we're just trying to sell you some software.
And we, to be fair, that was a conscious decision. It would have been really easy to have a bunch of partners come in and do demos. It would have been really easy to do that. But that wasn't the intent. The EcoVadis and Accenture piece, those guys do so much amazing stuff when it comes to sustainability. And yes, they have a great solution. And yes, it does a lot of brilliant things. But their level of knowledge in the sustainability within procurement area is huge. And what they've done with Accenture, that study that's got to be on stage.
Yeah.
Because our audience needs to know about that, right? They need to hear about it, because sustainability is another area that is so difficult to get your arms around. I mean, where do I start, right? Where does it end? You know, which companies can help me? What should I be looking at? Just look at emissions on its own. Emissions on its own is such a huge topic. And everybody's trying to get their arms around it. And you know, you can go and create a complex questionnaire, and you can send it out to your suppliers and you can wait for their responses, but they're in the same boat. What we're finding is that, and with us, we get the buy side and supplier side model, right? So when you see, what we're seeing on both sides is suppliers are being asked for their sustainability credentials. Whether you're a buyer or a supplier, you are a buyer and or supplier to someone somewhere, and everybody's asking you the same thing. So if you're asking them, what they're going to ask you. So it really is that dual-sided model, and I thought that EcoVadis and Accenture, I thought they did a really good job in showcasing that and the outputs from their analysis.
Yeah, and I was really pleased to see the slide on skills, on sustainability skills. Because that was fascinating for me to see what's historically been a priority versus what people are predicting will be a priority in the next 2 years. And I've actually made a separate video on that to do some analysis of that, because that ties in with what is one of my sort of pet subjects, which is where are we on digital skills? Which since we've come to that point, let's touch on that. So my view, I think there is a lack of investment in digital skills from the procurement community. There's data to support that theory. A lot of anecdotal information in the marketplace, conversations we both have, particularly me, on that subject. Is there a bigger responsibility for the vendors to be pushing that agenda, or is it on the professionals? What's the answer there, Mo?
I think it's on everybody to do it. I think that we've definitely got to do a better job of helping businesses adopt our solutions, but I don't mean that in the normal adopt way. One of the sessions that's going to be in Copenhagen is, ES2P are going to be with creatives, and they're going to be talking about, again, data, AI, etc. If you're in procurement, if you're a buyer, or you're a category manager, or you're a data analyst, a lot of the time it's difficult to know what data is available to me, or you spend a lot of time gathering that data, and then you're having to manipulate it and do X, Y, and Z and try and work out, how could we? And there's some very clever people doing that kind of stuff within business already, but I don't think that the vendors do a good job of saying, well, actually, here's the data that we've got. Here's how you can use it on a day-to-day basis. Here's how it would impact your these 6, 7, 8 different areas to really help you move the needle in terms of how you do your day-to-day work, right? Because that's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a category manager or buyer today, you are, in some instances, you're trying to be a jack of all trades. You're trying to be a data analyst. You're trying to be a category manager, and you're trying to be a salesperson, and you're trying to be an advocate to the business. You're trying to do everything, but nobody's taught you how to do it. You're having to learn on your feet, and I think it's up to all of us. I think vendors, yes. I think businesses within themselves have to do a lot more. But I also think, for you, we had this conversation before, when it comes to recruitment, and you're being asked to go and recruit somebody for a particular position, the job descriptions and getting them right so that they accurately show what it is that you're looking for, because if you use the same one that you used 5 years ago, it's really not going to fly because the job's completely different. And that's the case in the vendors as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. It's not only in procurement on that side, even on the vendor stuff. The role that I'm in now was very different 5 years ago. I think you need to know different things. You need to have a broader view of the market. There's a lot of different elements to it. So yeah, it's on everyone, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. I think the thing that sort of is both alarming but also the opportunity. I mean, I've given 3 presentations that spring to mind of late. So I presented to a UK audience last week, a European / international audience just before Christmas at an event, and an American audience on an online event in January. And every time in my presentation, I open up with the question, how equipped are you to thrive, if you will, in an era where procurement is entirely digital? So last week, no one put their hand up saying they were confident. The same in Spain last year. And then when I spoke to America, with it being an online one, so it wasn't a raise your hand, I asked for a percentage, sort of confidence in the chat. And I think one person came up with over 50%, everyone else like 30%. So, and there's two issues. One is that people don't feel they've had dedicated sort of training or development in those areas. But I think the other one, which has come to light more and more in my mind of late, is I think a lot of people aren't quite sure what digital skills are for procurement. They've not
I was just going to ask you that.
I've spent time researching this, as you know. And so I spoke last week and I said, I think some of you might be surprised when I put my slides up later as to what skills are. So, for example, risk management has always been part of procurement for many, many years. That is an absolutely vital digital procurement skill. It's changed because of the insight provided by the tech, in the same way data analysis has evolved because of the tech. But people have got some skills they don't realise they've already got, and then they've got others they're just not even sure what they're going to be. So we've got an education problem, and that's talking to sort of practitioners rather than well, there were some leaders on the American call, but the Europeans were more, sort of middle management, if you will, for want of a better phrase. But yeah, we've got an issue in that. Now, otherwise, the eco-virus thing I thought was really good because they defined, there was a clear understanding of what the skills were. Whilst there was an unusual trend, which I touched in my video, so have a look at that when I publish that in a week or so's time. But there was understanding of what was required, which I think puts that ahead of the wider digital skill set.
I think often there are mandates thrown down to procurement teams and supply chain teams without an understanding of what it will actually take. And then when you dig into that, you then find out that either you don't have the skill or you're having to learn it and so on. And that's hard. I think that's really hard. But again, I think that through what I'm seeing in terms of the products that are being built, the capability that is being built, the process mapping into the solution that is being built, I think that's going to help. I think that helps, right? I think when we look at the way that we're using AI and intelligent technology, it's really around user experience, right? It's how do we make user experience that much better, that much easier, even transparent, so you don't even notice that it's there. That's how I think tech is going to help and help the digital skills become more focused rather than somebody having to manipulate data in Excel again. You're not going to have to do that anymore because it will be done for you.
I mean, you're right, and I thought about that user interface, that user experience when I looked at the SAP Ariba UI a couple of weeks ago and thought, right, okay, that really looks very, very intuitive, which is one thing which has been a criticism of other, a variety of platforms historically. But I think just going back to the sort of the evolution of the skills, I think my message when I presented to people recently was, look, at the moment, companies aren't investing in this. They're not having training courses in this area. But you as an individual can take responsibility to upskill yourself. And it's actually not that difficult to get started. So once you understand what skills are going to be required and you decide which ones you think fit with your existing toolkit that you actually want to develop yourself, you think, okay, I'm really strong on risk management, I'm going to sort of raise my game in that area, I'm going to encompass some of the areas like maybe contract management or stakeholder engagement. It's all out there for people.
It is.
To go and be educated and read and watch and learn and really get yourself ahead of the curve, if you will. So there's a real opportunity now for procurement professionals to say, you know what, this is coming, it's unavoidable, I'm going to get out there and educate myself. A bit like we talked about the leaders perhaps not understanding the capability of the platform. There's a chance there, and if you immerse yourself in this world like we've done, there's so much resource available to you to say, you know what, I can get a much deeper understanding of what I can, how I can do my job better and deliver more value to my employer.
There's a lot of digital content out there for you to consume to be able to get yourself more clued up. I think that's one, and I think you're absolutely right. And some of it doesn't cost a thing, right? I think YouTube's become my best friend because I'm learning so much just by searching stuff, and there's so much good content in a lot of variety of different platforms. Actually, when you were talking about adoption of tools and businesses not fully understanding them and so on, you do have the opportunity to go and actually learn about that tool from the vendor as well. Not in terms of a user guide, but actually going through a training course to give you, and the outline of the solution so you understand it better and understand the nuances and so on. You know, we get caught here at SAP, and this is my opinion, this is not an SAP thing, this is Mo's opinion, and that is that we've got such a large user base that often it is very easy to either overcomplicate or oversimplify the solution that we have and not take advantage of its power one way or the other, right? Depending on which way you go. A lot of the chat, and not just at SAP, I've seen this in my recent times in other places with other solutions. It's often an understanding of the solution. It's often the way that it's been configured. It tends to be, it's not always configured in the best way, and that can be down to a number of different reasons. But that's all digital skills. That's all understanding process and how it maps to a solution and how that works from a digital standpoint for you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve with the solution. We need to do a better job of that, but I think there are tools available for customers to be able to get more out of the solution. Even things like WalkMe or a Enable now. You know, there's a couple of other tool sets. You know, Jagger had Pendo, if I'm not wrong, and some of the others use some of the other tool sets out there. My former boss at Tealbook, Matt, is at Apti, and they've built some really neat stuff as it relates to that. So there's tools available that can really help you get the most out of your solution, whatever that solution is. Doesn't matter, right? And then mix process orchestration with that whole, this is all going in the direction of making it easier for you to consume the solutions that you have so that you get the most out of them. But leverage them. Don't just stand still and complain because this widget doesn't do what you think it's supposed to do. That happens.
But you're right. There's so many those particular applications you talk about there, but you know, every software company is pumping out webinars, white papers, thought leadership, YouTube videos. It's all there if you want it. But I think those organisations that have been fortunate enough to have somebody in a sort of dedicated digital discovery role, if you will, you know, somebody who's out there scouting for solutions for a digital garage, or somebody with the eyes and ears on digital transformation who understands the opportunities. I think those organisations are definitely getting the most out of the solution because they've got that sort of dedicated specialist. And I think, you know, for me, I'd like to see more roles like that in the marketplace. I know there's the talent pool that wants those sorts of jobs for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, indeed. So Copenhagen, is it next week, do you say?
Yeah, Copenhagen's the 16th. Each of our market units or countries are taking the same template that we had done, you know, what we've done in London, and twisting it a little bit. So the Copenhagen event's going to have more supply chain. So we're going to have customer conversations more around supply chain. We've got partners. Some of the partners are the same as that come from London, but we've got new partners. I say new as in different partners. So likes of P44 and Descartes and so on, which will be more of a supply chain spin. Even though Accelerate Source to Pay were in London, they did the session with Kielvar that you know about. Yeah. But like I said, in Copenhagen, they're going to be with Creatives, which is more of a supply chain spin. So really looking forward to that, because again, that's again showcasing the breadth of what we have as a business, right? Within ISBN, you know, you're going to see a lot more around the SAP Business Network, which is not what people may have thought it was before. It's so much larger and bigger, and we're going to do a lot more showcasing around that soon, starting with Copenhagen, actually, because I think we're going to talk about some really interesting things there. So yeah, same format, same template, but slightly different talk track there, because it's more supply chain focused. But again, it's not going to be throw a demo in your face and sell to you. It's more around helping you with your process and helping you understand how SAP helps you with that process, which is why I'm excited. So it's cool. Yeah, looking forward to it.
And if procurement leaders can't get to any of these events, or they missed the UK one already, get in touch with you directly or the local SAP rep for more details, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Just get in touch. We've got the agendas and the registration pages and stuff, but if there's anything that you want to know, or if you're at the London event and you want to know more about certain things, just hit me up. I'm on LinkedIn, easy to find.
Yeah, you and me both. Right, Mo. Well, look, that's really interesting from my perspective. And I think the audience will have enjoyed listening to some of the sort of context, if you will, as to what's going on at SAP at the moment. Which exciting times in what's a very interesting market, of course. So I think we've touched on some really important subjects there. I think they'll get spoken about a lot of the events later on this year. Procurement leaders, DPW, etc. So of course you can get in touch with myself or Mo on LinkedIn if you want to talk about any of the issues we've raised today. But thank you for taking the time to watch it. We hope you found it useful, and we'll perhaps do something again later in the year, Mo.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.